I feel great.
I am healthy.
Good things, they always come to me.
My tribe is my vibe.
My thoughts come my reality, Dad.
This is the A.I.M Positivity Podcast. This experience is dedicated to you and your soul. We will dig deep to uncover the greatness that is within you through affirmations, the power of influence, and aligning with your mind through meditation. These are A.I.M principles towards positivity, and the journey begins.
The journey does indeed continue. How's everyone doing today? I hope all is well. I hope everyone is safe. The A.I.M Positivity Podcast. This is episode number 6. Great episode today. Meaningful episode today. The affirmation for episode number 6. I have faith. On Martin Luther King Day, I have faith. Now think how powerful that is. I have faith. Dr. Martin Luther King, he had a dream. Okay, and that dream is still trying to come to fruition right now. It is a continuous work in progress. But one thing Dr. King relayed to the world, one thing that he relayed in his messages is his faith. Regardless of what the now has presented in his life, he still had faith for racial equality. That's something that should resonate with every single person here that's listening to this podcast. Or I would hope it would. I have faith. Faith means the world to me. Faith is how I move. I love faith because it's something you can't see. It's not tangible. You can't reach it. It's something you really, really got to believe in. And depending on your religious perspectives, your thoughts, what you firmly believe is your truth, you got to have faith. You got to have that connection. For me personally, there was a lot of scenarios in my life where I needed faith. If I did not have faith, I don't know if I'll be here right now. I'm just being honest with you. Okay. So faith is a very, very important, and it should be a very important factor into your life. Now, here's the tricky part about faith. Because of our individual life journeys, everyone have their own definitions of what faith is or what their truth and faith should be. My advice, you have the answer. What you feel is your truth and what you feel is your faith, hold on to that truth. Hold on to that belief. I mean, that's something that's really going to play a profound effect in your life and something that you need to have in your back pocket in reach whenever you need that faith, whenever you need that inner guidance, that spiritual guidance, that connection to source, that connection to your faith. That's something that's going to put you in a position to grasp what you want, to grasp what your mind can conceive. The thing about faith is, hey, we're going to have blocks that's going to challenge our faith, that's going to challenge our belief. And we will only know if we want to accomplish it once we stop having faith. So you must have faith. You must live in faith. That's what this episode is all about. This is a special episode to me. Not only is dropping on Martin Luther King Day, but it's also I'm interviewing my cousin. Now, she was in a position in life where she had to rely on faith. I mean, she had nothing but life challenges thrown at her. But her faith put her in a position to be exactly where she is right now. And if it wasn't for her faith and her belief in her faith, we wouldn't have this interview. So episode number 6, the affirmation, I have faith. Sit back, relax, enjoy the ride, have faith. Let's go over to our influence section. Enjoy. Want to introduce the listeners, introduce the audience to Miss Peachez James-Beckford. What's going on, cousin?
Hello, cousin. How are you?
I am excellent. Thank you so much for agreeing to be interviewed for the A.I.M Positivity Podcast. You have a story. You have a movement. It's time for the world to know all about it. So thank you again.
No, thank you for the exposure. Thank you for letting me be able to speak, get my story out. I appreciate it.
Talk to the audience about where you're from.
So I am from Harlem.
Harlem World.
And I've lived in Harlem growing up as a teenager.
You growing up as a little girl.
Me growing up as a little girl
Yeah.
in Harlem, sitting out on the stoops, vibing with everybody on the block, everybody on the block being family.
Mm-hmm.
Just hanging out with my friends. We used to have like big Father's Day picnics in Morningside Park. That was one of
Mm-hmm.
the highlights. I worked in the area. My mentor was from
Mm-hmm.
there, Jackie Rowe Adams. She's like another mom to me. So,
Mm-hmm.
I knew people in the community on community boards, and it was a great experience for me. I loved it.
That is, the beautiful side of Harlem. But you grew up in the prime, the David Dinkins era, the Mayor Giuliani era, the drug epidemic crack era. How was Harlem? How was growing up for you during that time frame?
Well, I want to be honest with you. I lived in Harlem with my grandma, my uncle Doug,
Yep.
and my mom and dad then came to Harlem also. I mean, if I don't feel that I was affected by the epidemic at all.
Mm-hmm.
I was a kid. I
Yep.
I did kid stuff. Of course, there was the life around, and even as I getting older, you that's your lifestyle. Everybody has a family member or something that dipped
Mm-hmm.
and dabbled, or might have been the one selling the drugs. But I don't feel
Mm-hmm.
that it affected me so much in that era.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in that era, I lived as a kid. I don't feel like I was going hungry. I went for anything. My parents didn't go through it, so it didn't directly affect me. Later on, when I was getting older, like, my choice and then I was young. I had a child young,
Mm-hmm.
and my son's father, my ex husband rather, he went away for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and that started my journey, or when things became to change for me. He was into the life, and as a consequence, I grew up quick,
Yep.
grew up on my own, had to raise my
Yep.
child on my own,
How old
and
were you? How old were you
I was
when
18
you
years old. I was
you was
18 years old
18?
when I had my son. I graduated pregnant from high school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, After not shortly after having my child, I was not in my parents' home anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and it was rough beginnings when I was a single mom, and I had to grow up and learn quick, and I went through the shelter system. I got my own apartment at about 20 years old, and it was new for me to have to come home from work and raise this kid and run up to jails, and he went away for 9 years, so I
Yeah,
did that basically on my own, and that was rough, that was hard, and at 18 years old you don't know all the things that you need to know.
for
I
sure.
will say that I quickly learned how to be a mom, but I learned with my son, so everything wasn't probably done right, and I just did the best that I could do. I feel like I've always been a person that would wanted to do better for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back to school. I went to school to be a medical assistant. When I worked as a medical assistant for a little bit. Then I worked in a
For
bank.
sure.
So I was always doing something to try to better myself. I've always worked. I've worked since I was 13 years old. No matter what my
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle was, I was still going to work, whether it was a
You
movie,
was never complacent. You was never complacent.
whether it was a
Mm-hmm.
movie theater, whether it was volunteering somewhere. Like, I was always trying to make sure I was doing something to show my child, and also just to be comfortable in myself,
For
that
sure.
I was going to make sure I did the best that I could do.
18 years old, you're just getting into womanhood. You're figuring life out. You have this child. You were going through, just the motions of being a new parent, then a single parent at that, and then having your husband, ex-husband, going up and visiting him, things of that nature. You had a lot of things going on. What else happened in your life? Like, that's a huge, huge, huge scenario that you had to overcome. So what are trials and tribulations that occurred in your life that you had to grow from, or things of that nature?
So I would say the hardest part was going through that period, going through the period of going through the shelter, moving
Mm-hmm.
to the apartment and being on my own and having to pay bills and not be able to just buy
Mm-hmm.
whatever I want to and to get that kind of structure. But at about when my son was about 3 or 4, I
Yep.
met who is my husband today, and for 5 years we went through stuff that you go through in regular relationships, but it was a great relationship all in all. Like the best
Mm-hmm.
man that I could have that could have walked into my life. Like I will say my soulmate. So he brought a lot of structure for my son, but it was like me and my son for that 4 years. So it took a little bit for my son to
Adjustment.
adjusted to
Mm-hmm.
me having this other man around when he knows his dad, but he knows his dad is away. So, but my life became better. That's when I went to college. That's when my husband helped me and, watched my son so that I could go to college and so that I
Mm-hmm.
could go to work. And then I began getting on my feet and working and, being able to pay my bills and make sure that we were okay and always live comfortably between the both of us. But
Okay.
in 2015,
Mm-hmm.
I got breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So I got breast cancer. I was 35 years old,
35, 2015. Okay.
35. My son was now hitting adolescence. His dad had came home.
Mm.
He had been robbed, and things began to change. It was hard. I had now this young man that was trying to figure things out. Before I even got the diagnosis,
Mm-hmm.
I had went and I got a regular reading, but as women, we have too much to do. We going to work, we coming home, we doing this, that, and the other, and I have two other kids now, so I just kept going. Like I'm busy, I can't go back to see what happened with this sonogram. They're like, we just have to see what's going on. You need to come back in. You need to do this and that, and I kind of put it off for maybe like 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
But in those 3 months, I would open Instagram and I would see somebody letting go balloons of a young woman who died from breast cancer. I
Mm.
would see a lady that, from the neighborhood that she got breast cancer and she died and her kids went to school with my kids. Like it was literally just slapping me in my face. And
Really?
I'm a strong believer of when God wants you to know something, it's present for you to know. He keeps showing you. And it
Mm-hmm.
just kept happening. So one Sunday, I was coming home from work and I'm rushing, but I see one of my friends that had breast cancer, and she looked really ill, like really
Mm.
ill, and it kind of baffled me for a minute. And I stood outside and I spoke to this woman for maybe an hour outside, hottest day ever. And she told me that she didn't react well to chemo. She didn't. So she was telling me a bunch of stuff, and it made me say, let me go back and get
Mm.
this checked out. So I went back and I got this checked out. And 2 days later, they called me at work and said, you have breast cancer. You need to find a surgeon. So of course,
Mm.
initially you cry, but my boss came in the room and she kind of just was like, "Did you call the surgeon? Did you this?" And I just got to the business of everything. I just started making the phone calls, and I
Mm-hmm.
called my husband, and I probably didn't react for a long time. And for anybody
Mm.
who's ever been diagnosed with breast cancer, after that, for like a month. They're poking and prodding at you, and you don't have any answers. They're just taking blood and taking samples, and this doctor and that doctor. So you know, it's hard to stay sane because you don't know what's going on, but you've got this diagnosis. So I just kept on like acting as if it didn't even happen. I feel like God wants me to change some things in my life. I think that I need to become closer to God. I've always had a strong faith, but I feel like you know through everything, my faith is what got me through. And every day I would
Mm-hmm.
get up and I would feel like crap, but I would get up, I would get new wigs and I would dress up, or even if I wore a bald head, I'd put on my makeup and I'll
Mm-hmm.
get really cute and put on good outfits just to make myself feel good. And I just kept pushing. I would um I would have chemo on Wednesdays. I would go to Bible studies afterwards on Wednesdays. Like anything to uplift my spirits, to make me feel good. And I just kept pushing that way. And I feel like that's one of the things that get you through.
So Peachez, something really, really stood out to me during this time frame. I remember you always being on Facebook, on social media, and every single day you was saying something positive, a positive quote. So you was taking pictures of yourself. I mean, that's kind of rare for someone going through having breast cancer, going through chemo, and having that spirit, having that upliftment, and having that positivity. You mentioned faith, and perfect segue, because that is our affirmation word today. I have faith, right? Continue to speak about faith, because you clearly showed it during that time frame of you having breast cancer.
I mean, I promise you, every morning it was to wake up and thank God that I'm feeling okay today.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, and to let other people know, like I wanted to be that person to speak to women that may have been going through the same thing, that don't ask questions, that may not have been feeling as good. I just wanted to put it out there and be that person for them because, people say things that are insensitive when you're going through something like that and they don't realize it. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to say. They may not be able to handle it. But I felt like every day I'm going to thank God for waking up. I'm going to thank God that I'm here to see my kids another day. I'm thank God that I'm able to teach my kid this thing today. And I just had a strong belief that God is going to take me, he's going to pull me through this. Like I'm not done yet. And I have to live life every day in the best space possible. And if I don't wake up tomorrow, of course, that's not what I wanted. Of course, I want to see my kids get older, my grandkids, and everything. But if I didn't wake up that next day, then I wouldn't know it. I lived happy, and I had that strong faith, and I was positive the whole time. So I just got up and made the best of it as I could. I had horrible days. I had when I first, had my son shave my head. It was another time where it was like reality, like you're going through this, you have this. And I just that's what kept me going. Faith is what kept me going every day. Faith is what keeps me going now. I will say since I've had breast cancer, it has not been easy at all. I went
Mm-hmm.
back to work for 2 years. Chemo, like,
Once you went back to work, so explain that. So you went back
well,
to work when? Go ahead, explain that.
right.
Going back
So
to
I
work.
was out of work from, I want to say, 2015. I got diagnosed. I think I was, yes, I was out of work till about 2017. So I was off of work for 2 years. I had
2 years. Okay.
two different rounds of chemo, four different medications. I had radiation treatment.
Hmm.
So all of these things take a major toll on your body. It's poison.
For, for sure.
Poison. It's poison. You your body doesn't react to things the same. Your body just goes through so many things that you wouldn't believe. It's like to the point where you don't even want to complain about it because nobody's going to believe all these things are wrong with you, but that is what it is. And I
Hmm.
feel like, it gets worse as you go on. And I worked in healthcare, I worked on a psych unit where sometimes you have to manually hold down a patient from hurting themselves, from hurting someone else. You have psychotic patients.
That must have been hard. Being, doing that and then being diagnosed and going through that process. That had to be hard.
That was hard. I still tried to go to work a little bit. And
Hmm.
then after a while, I stopped. Like I said, I went back after 2 years. And when I came back after the 2 years, I don't expect anybody to have any sympathy for me or any special privileges because I had cancer, but it does take a toll on your body. And one of the tolls is like I have like a shoulder impingement. It's hard for me to lift my shoulder. It's hard. I get spasms. Um,
Hmm.
just a lot of different things. So I couldn't work in that capacity anymore, and my job would not do anything to give me a position that was accommodating to what I went through. And it was just like,
Hmm.
it was like a slap in the face to work in healthcare and have
Hmm.
to get a disease that you didn't ask for and
Hmm.
go back to work and you're still trying to earn a living, like not sit home. like I said, I've been working since 13. So what the last thing I want to do is sit home. It
Mhm.
is debilitating and depressing for anybody to not be able to provide or make that income that you used to, and to you know because when you're going on this job and you've done something for 10 years, that's what they expect you to still do. So it's hard to start over and do something new. So I
For
went
sure.
through it a little bit, and then my son got he was incarcerated, and he's
Mhm.
incarcerated for a very long time, and I feel that it was a unjust system. So I went through a lot. I would say
Mhm.
went through depression, but God never stopped giving me blessings.
Mm.
So it took me a minute to realize that his incarceration, even though it's unfair, is what may be saving his life now.
Mhm.
I've seen other women go through having their children murdered in the street. And
Mhm.
that I probably could not live with. So I thank God, not that he's incarcerated, but that he is not fully out of harm's way, because you never are, and when you're incarcerated. But I'm thankful that he has a little time to grow up, and nobody is going to murder him. So I'm
Mhm.
going through this depression, and I'm going through being down, and I I had taken my son to a basketball clinic one day.
Mhm.
I was like just thinking to myself, looking to around the gym and seeing how many people was in this gym, and we paying about $200 a pop for this basketball clinic. And I
Mhm.
was like, I would, and on Saturdays, it's hard for me to get up and find something to wear. And, I'm not a sweatsuit type of person, but I want to put on a cute sweatshirt. I want
Mhm.
to put, so I'm thinking like, oh, I should do like a jazzy t-shirt, maybe off the shoulders. And, this is
Mhm.
what I'm thinking in my head. And I could sell this to the moms. So this was the thought in my head, but I never went about seeing how I get the sweatshirts or what kind of sweatshirts. And I never,
Mhm.
it was just like too much. It was a thought in my head, but I never followed up with it. So, present day, pandemic, this guy that I used to work with, good guy in Harlem, he was doing t shirts that was keep your distance 6 feet.
Mhm.
And everybody got tired of being in the house. So, me and some friends thought that we would have a barbecue, and I was like, oh yeah, we gonna wear. They were like, you gotta wear a mask, and I said, oh well, I have this hoodie, keep your distance 6 feet, and I'm gonna wear this hoodie. Do you guys want one? And but by the time I knew it, everybody wanted this hoodie, so I'm selling this hoodie for my good friend, but I could have put that money in my pocket.
For sure, for sure. It
So
birthed it birthed something though. That
right.
that that birthed something for sure.
So now we back to the idea of me wanting to make these shirts, but I just got a machine and I started making t-shirts, and
Mhm.
people always want a t-shirt, or a good t-shirt. It's summertime, it's pandemic. Um, then people always want custom stuff. So
Mhm.
that's how that started. However, I've always wanted to do an online boutique. Like I said,
Mhm.
I am from Harlem. I'm plus size, and I'm always going through an extra measure to find something different, because there's not much for big girls or plus size girls. And I, pride myself on looking good. What woman doesn't like to shop and put outfits together? So I feel like it's one of the things that I'm good at. Why not make money at it? So that was the birth of Pink Peachez, and then Pink Peachez the boutique. So,
Okay, so hold on. So we have two. So we have Pink Peaches and then we have Pink Peaches the boutique.
Pink Peachez is the t-shirt
Okay.
shirt line, and then Pink Peachez the boutique is, for right now, it is the plus size clothing.
Excellent.
And soon coming, it will be for everybody's size. And
Mhm.
in the future, I would love
Mhm.
to do clothing for everyone. I would like to manufacture my own clothing,
Mhm.
but it's a process. It's growing. I'm proud of it. I love it. I even love the trial and error about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very passionate about it, and I feel like as many times as I've tried to go back to work, as many lawyers as I've contacted, I feel like God didn't want me to go back to work. I was injuring my body every day, still going back to this job. And I don't get me wrong, every day I'm like, oh, I need to go back to this job so I can have that direct deposit, so I can have that insurance. But when you birth something that is your own, you take a sense of pride in it. My kids boast about it. They tell everybody about it. My son is super psyched and they want to start their own businesses. So I just think it's a great thing.
That's amazing. That's just a true indication of the influencer that you are, right? Think about what you just, you relayed to the audience. You got diagnosed with breast cancer at 18 years old. You're a single mom. Your ex-husband was in jail. You've been through all these trials and tribulations, and every single phase of your life, there was one word that always came about. And what is that word? Faith. Okay.
Right.
And because of your previous experience, now you have faith going into being an entrepreneur.
And
All the dots connected.
right. And this first line, the launch of this business's first line, the line is called perseverance because I feel
Perseverance.
yes, I've come from a place of
Nice.
faith, and without that faith, you know, I wouldn't have it. And I feel like God has put it in my path. It's what I'm supposed to do,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm passionate about. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like everybody goes through a time, but it perseverance is definitely what I wanted to call this first line because I I refuse to give up. Like if cancer didn't beat me, nothing else will.
What advice would you give listeners that may be struggling with faith? Because faith is something that's invisible, right? It's a belief. It's not tangible. It's not in front of your face. So what advice would you give listeners that's trying to seek faith?
I feel like faith. You everybody questions themselves. They question themselves. What if am I doing this right? Is it
Mm-hmm.
okay that I don't give tithes? Am I faithful enough? It's a thing. I struggle. I feel like people feel like faith. Um, Blessings come in a form of money. A lot of people believe that. I feel like basically what you believe in, whatever your faith is, what you believe in, you have to stay true to that. For me, my faith is God. I am a firm believer in it. I tell people to pray all the time. I feel like the power of prayer is real.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just say keep being faithful, keep pushing, keep praying, and it will come to you. Your blessings will come to you. People hate the cliche, your time is coming, it's just for a season. They hate those things, but it is a reality. Like we all go through times, and even through my down periods, I've always had those blessings, which I always commend you for. You had an interview and you had a video about there is always a downfall and then there's always something that is positive. So I
Okay, are you talking about my sunrise time to shine videos?
yes, yeah,
Okay. That's something you can find on Instagram, guys. Aim positivity. But go ahead, cousin.
right. And I just feel like you're gonna have times where you're down, you're gonna have times where you're up, and everybody goes through that. But I feel like if you remain faithful with yourself, if you keep positive, that you're gonna be okay. I feel like cancer has changed me also. Like it softened
Mm.
me a lot. It made me want to advocate for so many things. Making
Hmm.
mothers with black sons and telling them to make sure that you don't put your kid in the system and don't put your kid out and don't because it's a lot. And cancer was one thing, and now I'm dealing with my son being incarcerated. But you have to keep pushing, and you have to see the blessing in things that don't look like a blessing.
That's important. Say that one more time.
You have to see the blessing in things that don't look like a blessing. Things don't always look like a blessing to you, but they are. They are. Like, you have to remain
That's
calm.
important. That's
It's, it
powerful.
takes it takes a lot of energy to be angry all the time, or I'm a firm believer that people just stand in their own way
Mm.
when you're down. And I feel like I wouldn't be cancer if I was down and I let it take me over. I'm glad that I had to, keep, like, one of the things, my kids weren't here at first, and then my mom sent them back. I knew I had to get up for them kids every day. So it's like you have to keep pushing. If you let things overtake you, it will. And you're standing in your own way. You have to push past it.
Peaches, where can listeners and viewers locate you on social media? Where can they find you at? Pink Peaches and Pink Peaches the boutique.
So I have Instagram account under Pink Peachez, and also Pink Peachez the boutique. Also on Facebook as Pink Peachez the boutique, and the websites are up. You can get on any social media. There's definitely a link in the bio for anyone to purchase. And I just thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Peaches, any parting words, any last words you want to share with the listeners right now?
Keep your faith. Keep pushing. And don't always look at the downside. There's always a silver lining.
Guys, you heard it first. Pink Peaches, Peachez James-Beckford. Beyond appreciate your time. This is my cousin. This is my family. This is my heart. Love you very much. Thank you so much
Love you too.
for joining the AIM Positivity podcast. Your presence in this interview was a blessing. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey guys, let's go over to the other side. Let's close our eyes and let's meditate. AIM Positivity. I hope you are in a place of solitude, a place to yourself, a place where you could just focus in on this meditation. We're going to focus on the affirmation, I have faith. All right. Let me just moment those who are watching. Once again, I'm going to turn on my meditation salt lamp and put ourselves in a good mood to meditate. Let's close your eyes. Let's stand still. Let's not think of anything that has put you in a position to think, meaning let the day go. Let's take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Let's begin. I have faith. 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 faith. I have faith. Let's begin to wiggle our hands. Slowly wiggle your legs, your head. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Remember, life is full of challenges. Life is full of obstacles. Take a deep, deep, deep moment within yourself and have faith. You will always be presented with something that will challenge your faith. But continue to connect with your belief. Continue to have faith. And your outcome will continuously be positive. Thank you for tuning in to the A.I.M Positivity podcast. This is a wrap of episode 6. Remember, we are every single Monday providing you with an affirmation, then with an influencer, and capping off the episode with a meditation. Appreciate your support. Continue to showcase and spread the positivity in the world. And I'll see you next Monday. Have a great remainder of your day and week. I have faith. Take care.